I used to love picture books when I was young, especially during my primary school days, especially those picture stories about the series Mr. Man and Little Miss. I was so engrossed in reading those stories that I even went to the Tampines Regional Library nearly every week just to be able to borrow those books and CD-ROM games based on the series. I had also loved to read Roald Dahl's storybooks around this age, and because of my English classes in primary school that focused on these stories. Some of these titles include Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, The Enormous Crocodile, and James and the Giant Peach. I was so engrossed in these storybooks that I would even read them outdoors as well. This love for these storybooks have left great childhood memories in my heart, and it also allows me to appreciate the stories in entertainment that I enjoy today, be it for movies, animated series, comic books, or even video games. Because of these stories that I read throughout my life, I get to learn from these characters' experiences in the stories as well. However, my intense love for these storybooks had brought me to a whole new unexpected sense of danger. One fine day, as usual, I was so excited about going to the library once again to borrow more storybooks. At that period of time, I was still 10 years old, so I get excited easily over my passion for this form of entertainment. And due to this excitement, I tripped and fell over a chain that was right in front of me, just before I ran into the library. In this process, I broke one of my front teeth, and part of this tooth fell off to the rocky road ground, breaking into pieces. It even hits my nerve very hard, which causes lots of unbearable pain at that moment. I was crying and weeping out of pain, and blood kept flowing continuously out of my gums. But thank God my parents were there with me as well, so they immediately drove me to the hospital afterwards. At the hospital, I was told that I needed a root canal operation to heal my tooth, as it hit the ground very hardly, which destroyed some of the inner nerves within. However, I dreaded going for the operation, and I kept dragging the operation on and on and on for years. Visiting the dentist alone was one of my greatest fears in my life. The thought of dental equipment touching my gums, seeing more blood, and drills piercing through my teeth made me tremble in fear. It was only until recently, 3 years ago, in the year 2009, before I took my N-levels, that I finally came around to go for the operation, although I was still kind of reluctant to go. But I could not withstand the pain within my broken tooth any further, and I want the pain to end as quickly as possible. So I finally came around to muster all my courage to go for the operation. Truthfully, I was still very afraid to go for the operation, but thankfully, as the dental center is located at Wheelock Place, the gigantic bookshop known as Borders was also located there. So I happily bought some books, magazines, and even manga comic books to cheer myself up before going for the operation. Thankfully, the operation was a great success. Part of a fake tooth provided by the dentist filled in the gap for my broken tooth perfectly, and all the dirt in my tooth has been washed away as well. I heaved a sigh of relief, and a heavy burden has finally been lifted off my shoulders. This experience taught me not to get too excited making rash actions over what my hobbies and interests are. All the consequences will be rather large. I thank God for helping me through this tough period, and now that everything is fine, I do not have to worry about any further infections in my tooth any further. Thank you for listening to my story.